So we're going to start. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but first I want to just ask, do you guys remember being little? You thought you were like a superhero. How many of you guys had a superhero you thought you were? Don't act like you didn't, especially the guys. We all know, yeah. Batman, Superman, whichever it was. And making birthday wishes and being so sure they were going to come true, right? And just finding joy in everything, like the simplest, littlest things. And sadly, as we grow up, some of this stuff starts to fade, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I was just like that. I grew up in a family of 10 kids and moved all over the country, lived in Oregon, Washington, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, California, and then came to Utah to go to BYU. So my dad was in the FBI. And my favorite t-shirt was one that said, anything boys can do, girls can do better. Sorry, guys. It's kind of true. And my plan was I was going to come to BYU and find him, right? With me, ladies, and have 10 kids, just like my mom did. And that was kind of my plan. But kind of like life goes, things don't always go exactly according to plan. I did come out to BYU at 17. I ended up meeting someone and doing the whole BYU get married really young thing, and ended up having 2 kids right away, and suddenly found myself the sole support of my family. So I didn't have like the master plan to be an entrepreneur. How many of you guys want to be an entrepreneur by raise of hands? How many people want to start businesses? Sweet, good numbers. Well, I didn't want to. Like, I ended up doing it because I needed to feed my kids, and I ended up being a single mom for a long time and had to figure out how am I going to support my family. And so I thought, well, I could go work for somebody else, which I was doing at the time, or I could start something on my own and maybe have a little more control of my time, or so I thought back then. So as we get older, one of the problems we have is that there's things that start to hold us back, right? You start to get older. Now you guys are at that age. You guys are so young still, but my daughter says you're old because she's 17 and 20 to her is like ancient. So you start, but as you get older, you start to be like, I got to be realistic. I've got responsibilities. Are you guys, is any of you guys starting to feel that already in life a little bit? Like, you know, responsibilities are there, and you start to get scared, or you're running yourself ragged trying to please everybody in your life and do everything they need you to do. And ultimately what ends up happening is we either try and fail or we just fail to try. Okay, and the reason for that, or the number one reason for that, is fear. Our fear tends to hold us back. True or not true? True? Anyone felt that? You guys got to wake up. It's a Monday afternoon. Let's talk about some of the things we're afraid of, okay? Overcoming fear of a dumb idea. How many of you guys have ever had an idea and you're like, I don't want to tell anyone because it might be dumb? Or like, it can't be good, and if it was good, somebody else would have already done it by now, right? Okay, let's talk about a few of those dumb ideas. You know what? This was started by a college guy that wanted to use the remote, and it was cold, and he was in his sleeping bag, so he ripped the arms of the sleeping bag out to make room for his hand to still do the remote, and thus was born the Slanket. True story. How many of you guys have a Slanket? Don't be shy. I totally have like 5 of them. I love these things. Okay, what about this book? Everyone Poops. Who's heard of the book? You can say if you've read it, right? It even led to the sequel to the book, The Gas We Pass. Became #1 Amazon best, number 2,000 in the best-selling books of all time on Amazon. Can you imagine the conversation to say you're going to write that book and how that would have felt? So, honey, I've been thinking. I'm going to write a book called Everyone Poops. And later, I'll do a sequel called The Gas We Pass. Okay, so dumb idea. Doggles. Who has a dog? Probably not on campus, yeah. Goggles for your dog. Love these, love these. This is one of my personal favorites. This college student's girlfriend, fiance, broke up with him. Tried to take the ring back. They wouldn't give him very much money when he took the ring back. So he decided to start a website called I Do, Now I Don't, and invite other people to sell their wedding rings that got broken up with. And he even added where you could add YouTube videos to explain how that person crushed your dreams and broke your heart, right? Took a bad situation, turned it into money. This one's a great one. This mom up there with those 2 boys, when they were in high school, she wanted to keep her boys out of trouble. So she bought them that pickup truck and made them do odd jobs for neighbors. And then suddenly her boys leave to go to college, and all these neighbors are calling saying, hey, who's going to come do our project? So she launched 2 Men in a Truck. In 2011, they did $220 million in sales. Bad idea? Dumb idea? Pillow pets? I was shocked. In 2010, they sold over $300 million of these things. Dumbest idea ever. $300 million is stupid right there. Okay? And if you ever get scared you're too young, we all know about Zuckerberg, who 23 years old, and its market cap's now $126.5 billion. Anything with a B after, like, just sounds cool, right? So you got to overcome the fear of dumb ideas, because you just don't know if it's a dumb idea. You just don't until you do it, okay? The other thing you have to overcome is your fear of what other people think. And I think this one, especially at your age, is one of the hardest ones, right? You're scared of what your parents think. You're scared of what your girlfriend or boyfriend thinks. You're scared of what your friends think. And I think this is one of the hardest things to overcome. And especially in the LDS community, we get nervous about, like making everyone feel like we're perfect and all those things. There's a lot of pressure there. So it's really important that you recognize that how others see you is not important, but how you see yourself is everything. And that's critical, because you cannot live to, you got to do what you think is right and start to really focus on that, because you can only control what you think of yourself, not what other people think. So your self-concept, the nice thing is it's made up of two things. It's made up of the way you see yourself today, which is probably a little bit still kind of insecure in some areas. I think we all are. I don't think there's an age where you suddenly go, oh, I'm so cool now. At least I haven't got there. I'd like to someday. But then there's the picture of your ideal self, of that person you want to become. And that takes us back to when we were a kid. A whole bunch of you raised your hand about the superhero question. Well, let me just show you who got the song for you, too. Okay, so when I got scared and I felt insecure about something, I just pretended that I was her, right? And I would close my eyes, be like, okay, I'm Wonder Woman, this doesn't matter, I can do this. I'd go do what I had to do and get it done. And somehow you felt a little bit more confident after you're finished. And it's a really good tool for how to overcome fear of what you feel like you can do, okay? Is have that ideal picture of what you want to be. And dude, what girl doesn't want to be Wonder Woman, right? She's got a lasso, she makes men tell the truth. It's fantastic. Okay? You also have to believe in yourself. Now, in case you think I'm just showing fun little pictures and there's no science behind anything I'm saying, the Galatea effect is that it's a study that was done that showed that individuals have high self-efficacy expectations, that is, who believe that they can achieve what they set out to, are healthier, more effective, and generally more successful than those with low self-efficacy expectations. So what they're trying to say there in this study is that you will ultimately become your own self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, what you expect from yourself is pretty much what you're going to end up getting. And there is so much truth to that. As we go through the story, I hope you guys will see that that's true. Okay? So at this point in my life, I was like 23 years old. I had to figure stuff out quick, right? So I decided, okay, I understand you got to believe in yourself, and I'm going to pretend to be Wonder Woman. And then I came up with my life mantra, which was, today I'm going to be amazing along with every day thereafter. That was my plan. And it was a sweet plan. So then I sat down and I made a goal poster, and every time I speak, no matter where it is or how many times I said it, I tell this story. Because this probably had a bigger impact on my life than almost anything. So when we're done today, trust me that you're going to want to go home and make a poster, and all the, especially the guys are like, whatever, dude. And seriously, you wait till the end of the story, you'll be like, I'm totally making a poster. So I sat down, I cut out a poster of the stuff I wanted to accomplish, right? I wanted to be Entrepreneur of the Year, and I wanted to be successful enough to be in magazines and all those things, meet Bill Gates, the whole works, right? Okay, so we're going to come back to that later. Huh? You drive the Porsche? I did. I gave it to my dad as a gift. But that was the goal poster. I didn't have the Porsche yet. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. Now I knew my goals and what the end game was, but now I had to figure out how to get there. And so people said, do what you love, right? And I was like, well, crap, I like shopping, and I love shoes. I don't know how to make money off of that stuff. Bubble baths, right? So that wasn't going to help me. Other thing people said is, well, do something you believe in. I'm a firm believer that when you do something you believe in, you'll work a lot harder, right? If you have like a purpose or a mission, especially in the culture we're raised, it tends to make you be more passionate about what you're doing and put yourself out there more and really go after it. So I think it's really important. If you can find something that you love it, that's great. If you can make money doing what you love, I just happen to love shoes, so that really wasn't for me going to work. But something you believe in is another really, really good way to be successful, okay? The most important thing is to just do something. So I had a grandpa who's passed on now, who was like my hero in life. That's him. He's so cute. He's like the cutest grandpa. But we talked one time when I was younger, and I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, Amy, I'm going to share an experience with you. He said, early in my life, I was trying to figure out a decision for my family. And I got on my knees and I started praying. And I prayed and prayed that just tell me what to do, tell me what to do. And the answer that I got, clear as day, was get up, do something, do anything, just make a start. And he said it was like the biggest life lesson for him, and it stayed with me my whole life. Get up, do something, do anything. Just make a start. The point was we spend so much time talking about it, stressing about it, waiting for God to give us an answer on what the right thing to do is, and we don't just get up and move forward, right? We become frozen in, especially see it in dating all the time, right? Oh, I don't know if I should marry, whatever. You just got to figure out what you think is right, say a little prayer that if it's not right, someone's going to stop you, and then go forward. And that's the way you got to do is get up, do something, just do anything. And so then you got to find your opportunity, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, how do I figure this out? Well, you have to think a little bit different. If you listen to people talk and get them out of their environment and talk about life problems or things that they wish this could happen, or I wish this was easier, those are opportunities. You're going to find your best ideas from listening to other people. You got to pay attention to when there's discontent about things. So in my case, I worked in medical offices. Okay, I'd been in medical since I was in high school. And in medical offices, I hated filing because it's boring. And I have ADD, and I was like, dude, seriously. You pull the file out. Well, so they would come in with their insurance card. The patient had an insurance card, and I'd have to photocopy. They'd go get the file, photocopy the insurance card, put it in the record set. Then I have to go back to the file, put it away. It seemed like such a repetitive, dumb task to me. And I thought, why computers are now coming out, like, you know, back then, what is it, Commodore 64s? You know, we have this old, I'm old, but whatever. So I thought, why can't we just scan these, right? Like, why can't you scan it and then it could just be in the computer and we don't have to go get the chart out every time? And that was how my first idea was born, was from looking at something that I thought was annoying and that there should be an easier solution for. Okay? The size of market matters. The bigger the market that you're going to address, the better. Why? Who knows why? Anyone? Why do I want a really big market to sell to? Because then I only have to have a teeny little piece of it to be successful. If I'm going to sell to a market of people that have a very specific problem, and my market size is only 100,000 people, I got to get every one of those people to make any money, and then I'm capped out. But if I have a market of millions of people, I only need a few 100,000 to be successful. So when you guys are trying to figure out what you're going to do with your business, be sure to pay attention to how big is the market, because I guarantee the investors are paying attention. Okay? Focus on the impact it's going to have, not just what you're going to sell, but how's it going to improve somebody's life or make it easier or better. Because that's really the focus that's going to help you get successful. And then leverage your God-given talents. Figure out what you're good at naturally. Ask your friends. If you don't know, ask your parents. They always know, right? We don't always want to hear it, but they know. So leverage those. I was ADD, and I understood technology. So I used my ADD and found things that were boring that I thought were repetitive, and I used technology to solve them. There you go. So one of my favorite questions is, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Okay, whenever I have a problem to solve, I ask that question. If I gave you guys 10 million bucks right now, and I said, I don't need any of my money back. I'm going to give you $10 million. You can start any business you want, and if it fails, I don't care. What would you start? That's probably the right company for you to do. Okay, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Get all the crap out of your head and focus on that. So I founded a company in '96 with 2 little kids. My daughter was just a few months old, and a 10 by 10 room in my house. And I was scared out of my wits, but you know what? I figured that's okay. I can be scared. I'm just not going to let it stop me. So I went forward, and I had just me, and it was a medical software company. And that's what kind of began my entrepreneurial journey that went on for the next 16 plus years. I'm not going to say how many exactly, because I know how old I am. So I just want to go through a few of the lessons I learned along the way, because one of my favorite things in life is if I can help you guys avoid something painful, because I already went through it, then by all means, learn from my mistakes. Because then you guys are going to be smarter, faster, get it done more successfully than I did by far. So one of the first things, put yourself in the running. You know, so often in life we hesitate from trying to put ourselves in the running, again, because we don't want rejection, we don't want to get shot down, but you got to put your name in the running, and even if you don't get chosen, someone's going to notice you. I had an employee working in my mailroom at MediConnect who sent me an email one day and just said, hey, you don't know me, but we had, you know, almost 2,000 people there. So he's like, you don't know me, but I really want to move up in the company. And we were looking to fill a position. And I thought, I didn't know him well enough at the time, he didn't get the position, but it put his name in my head. And over time, every time something came up, I'm like, oh, what about him? Just the fact that he put himself in the running, ultimately he ended up leading that department. And so it's really important to put yourself in the running, no matter what your job is. Stand out from the crowd. This is a big one. You got to stand out, and it's hard to do, right? Dress for success is a big one. Don't overdress, because that says you're pretentious. Don't underdress, because that's disrespectful. Try to be on par with whoever you're going to talk to. That'll help you guys. Keep your communication short, sweet, and interesting. Especially if you're talking to men in business, they want to know how painful is it going to be, how long it's going to take, and what's my exit. True or not true, guys? Any girl that comes in and says, can I talk to you about this? They're like, oh, just kill me. Like, seriously, like that black abyss of nothing takes over in your life, right? You got to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about this. It's going to take about 2 minutes. It's not going to be very painful, and this is how this is what I'm going to ask of you. And they're like, okay, I'm engaged now. I can pay attention. Do that in business. It's really important. Explain things in a way that's easy for people to understand. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they're really smart and they want everyone to know it, so they try to talk in language that nobody has a clue what they're saying because they want to show how smart they are. That is so annoying. Don't do that. You notice when they're selling you like an iPod, they're not telling you the gigs it holds. They say it'll hold X number of songs. You got to keep things relevant to people that they can understand, no matter who they are. Be confident, not cocky. There's like no bigger turnoff than people that are cocky. Be trustworthy. That's everything. We'll talk about that a little more later. And be memorable and original. You just have to kind of be enchanting, right? Be a fun person to be around. Avoid negative people because they'll drag you down. And if you lie down with dogs, you're going to get fleas. That was one of my dad's biggest sayings, is don't lie down with dogs, you'll get fleas. You will find yourself, if you're around a bunch of naysayers all the time, you will become one of those people. So avoid those. And people do business with people they like. Write that one down because that's a big one. People do business with people they like, okay? The Tigger Eeyore thing, nobody wants to hang out with Eeyore because he is depressing and sad, and he's like in the corner moping all the time. Nobody loves me. Nah. But Tigger, he may be annoying, but you think he's fun and cool to be with. True or not true? Much better to be around Tigger when he's bouncing around singing his little Tigger song. It's really important to be a fun, energetic person, right? You don't have to be annoying, but you don't want to be Eeyore either. So just really try to keep watch on yourself. And people will forget what you said, and they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So really be kind and engaging to investors, clients, employees, whoever it is in business. Make sure you do those things. Let's talk a little bit about mistakes. If you are not making mistakes, you're really not doing anything. Okay? I think that's one of the things everything's like, I can't make mistakes, then I'll suck and it'll be a failure. That's not true. I learned everything I learned by making a mistake, to be honest with you. I don't think I learned much from the things that went right, but I learned a whole heck of a lot from the things that went wrong. So when you make a mistake, learn from it, own it, fix it, and put safeguards in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. And this is a big one, and especially if you communicate that to people. You know, we made a lot of mistakes over the years with clients and with accounts, and what we would do is pick up the phone. We were the first one to tell them, hey, we made a mistake, and we're really sorry we did that. And we figured out how it went wrong, and these are the steps we're going to put into place, and this is how long it's going to take to fix it. And people were like, okay, cool. I mean, think about it. As a teenager, right? You're late for curfew. You come walking in the door, oh, my friend's car, this and that, right? You make excuses. What happens? Are you in more trouble or less? A lot more trouble. But if you came in to your parents when you were a teenager and you're like, dude, I'm late for curfew. You know what? I didn't have my battery in my watch fixed. I'm going to take care of that and get it fixed so it never happens again. I'm going to make sure I call you next time. Your parents would be like, right? There's nothing left to say there. Use that experience to be able to go in and own your mistakes. So when I was single, I wanted a boat, right? I had 2 kids, and I thought, I'm going to get a boat. And I was like, I should wait to have a husband because I want to take care of it, which is so lame of a girl that's a CEO to think, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, wait. And then I was like, no, screw that. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to get a boat. So I went and looked at boats, and there was a couple of really cool boats, and I was like, I got to be concerned, whatever. So I bought one that was a used one that I wasn't super in love with, but, you know, it was a boat. I brought it home, and I planned to go out on an outing. So I called this guy I was dating. I was like, I got a boat. Let's take it out with the kids. So my 2 little kids. So we go out, and we get on the water, and we're out halfway through the water, and all of a sudden the boat stops working, and I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, what's wrong with the boat, right? And the guy says, well, you put the plug in, right? Plug? It's a boat. Why would you have a plug? Why would you have a hole in a boat? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, seriously, let's be honest. It makes 0 sense to have a hole in a boat. But I didn't know there was a plug. I had no idea there was a plug. So I was like, dude, really? He's like, you didn't like check any of the instructions on that? No. Instruction of ADD, if there's not pictures and big print, it's kind of out, right? So we're out there and the boat starts literally sinking. And most embarrassing day of my life, probably. That's why I share the story, because I try to get over my embarrassment. But we started sinking. We're waving down for someone to come tow us in, which they do, and they're laughing the whole way back to the dock, like, what kind of idiot is this girl for not putting a plug in the boat? So not my finest moment, right? Well, that's going to happen in life sometimes. You're going to make stupid mistakes. Some of them you could have avoided. I love this picture. It says, some days we get stuck and bogged down. Some days all you can do is smile and wait for someone to kindly remove your butt from the hole you've wedged it into. Okay? That's kind of what I was happening in that moment. Now, I had 2 choices on how to handle it. I could have cried about it, and poor me, and no one told me there was a plug. You think they would have told me? So sad. There's tons of stories that I've done stuff like that are just so embarrassing. But you have 2 choices. You cry about it, or you could do what I did and go buy the new pink boat that you really wanted. Totally hot boat, by the way. So it's all about how you handle those situations, right? Because things turn out best for those who make the best of the way things turn out. Okay? Things turn out best for those who make the best of the way things turn out. And that is so true, you guys. It's not about the mistake, it's how you fix it, it's how you handle it, it's how you cope with it, right? So when I got that pink boat, I literally got out the instruction manual, I am proud to say, and read the whole thing cover to cover. Pretty sweet, right? Took a lot for me to do that, but I had learned through hard experience. First time I didn't know to drain my sprinklers for winter time. My whole sprinkler system went down. Never again did I not drain the sprinklers. Okay, someone needs to tell women this kind of stuff because, Dad doesn't mention that growing up. And by the way, the air filters in your house, you're supposed to replace those or your furnace will go down. I have learned a lot of stuff the hard way, people. And I am not ashamed to admit it because at least it didn't happen twice. That's my rules. Like, it's okay if it happens once, I just don't let it happen twice. You got to really redefine the way you view failure. And this is a big one because I think that is the biggest fear that holds us back, right? It's being afraid. All of us are. We're afraid of so many things. My favorite scripture is 2 Timothy where it says, God didn't give you fear. He gave you peace and a sound mind, because I use that all the time to help myself just pull out of something bad. I'm like, look, I can't be afraid. This isn't coming from the right source. I got to get it together. So you cannot fail if you learn something that makes you a better person in the future, right? Boat made me a better person in the future. Sprinklers, air filters, they all made me better and smarter in the future, okay? So it's not a failure if you learn from it. If you're going to repeat it, maybe. The only bad failure, and this is a true statement, the only bad failure is bad when you fail on your commitments to Heavenly Father. That's one that is bad, okay? Those ones, you got to avoid those. Now, sometimes you're going to make them, and the best you can do is learn from them. But honestly, the kind you make that you're trying to do something and it doesn't go right, that's not something to be ashamed of. It's you learning. It's you getting educated. And you'll learn more from those failures than anything else, okay? Trust that He's directing your path. I love this quote by President Monson, one of my faves. He says, there is a guiding hand above all things. Often when things happen, it's not by accident. One day when we look back at the seeming coincidences of our lives, we will realize that perhaps they weren't so coincidental after all. The bad stuff that happens a lot of times is leading you into the right direction. Don't confuse your path with your destination. Just because it's stormy now doesn't mean you're not headed for sunshine. So some of the biggest failures, even in business, you're going to have so many failures in your business, you guys. Things are going to go up and down. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to kick yourself and be like, oh, why did I hire this person? Why didn't I fire this person? Those things are going to happen, okay? But a lot of times those experiences are actually leading you down a different track. With my first company, we had negotiated this huge deal to take over development of a software product. And it fell through the day before, and I was devastated. I mean, like, devastated. I'm like, how could this happen? We worked so hard for this. If that hadn't happened, I never would have gone on to do what I did next and next and next. I would have stayed with what I was doing and never, ever been as successful as I was. So sometimes when those things go wrong, it is for a purpose that you just don't get yet, but you got to hang on to the fact that it is. Okay, I ended up at MediConnect in 2006. It became a very large company. Like I said, close to 2,000 employees worldwide. Most of them reported to that girl right here with the red hair, because I did not think that part was fun. But we had 4 locations around the world, and the company grew really, really big. Now, one of the first things we did when we came into MediConnect is we put a sign on my office wall that says, do what is right, let the consequence follow. Stayed on my wall. To this day, it's on my wall in my office. I would encourage all of you to go and in your office cube or whatever it is, write that saying, because business is going to be full of opportunities to cut corners. You are going to see competitors cut corners, and it is going to tick you off because they're winning, and they're succeeding and beating you out, and they're doing it dishonestly. And everything in you goes, oh, I can play that game. Okay? Don't ever let yourself get sucked into that. Keep that on your wall, because success is going to come and go, but your integrity is forever. And don't forget that. Like, if there's nothing else you walk out of here with today, please, please, please walk out of here with that. Because I can promise you, yeah, people can win by being dishonest and wrong. They will. You'll see them be successful. You'll see them get ahead. We hear about it in the news all the time, don't we? And the bottom line is it ultimately will come back to bite them, whether it's this life or the next. It will come back to bite them, and nothing is worth that. There is no success worth trading your integrity for. Make sure you're doing things for the right reasons. Love this scripture. I can BYU. I can throw scriptures in my talk. I never get to do this. But it's a great scripture. I love the if-then statements in the scriptures, right? Because I'm like all about the promise. It's kind of like you're making me a deal. If I do this, I get this. That's kind of cool because you can control it, right? But I love this one because it says, before you seek for riches, it doesn't say it's bad to seek for riches. It just says, before you do it, make sure that it's to seek them for the intent to do good. And if you do that, then you shall obtain the riches. But it's after you've done that. So make sure you're doing things for the right reasons. If you really want help with your business to be successful, make sure your heart's in the right place. If you want to succeed, serve others. Like, one of the biggest tricks I learned in my career is that the fastest way to success was if I helped everyone around me to succeed. If I helped my executives be successful and my employees be successful, it made me more successful. If I tried to make my investors successful, it came back on me to be successful. Make your clients successful. Make that the focus. If you make other people successful, it's going to come back and ultimately always make you more successful. And it's such a funner way to do things. It's more motivating to do something for somebody else than it is to do it for yourself. So try to build up people around you. Great doesn't have to cost a ton of money. At MediConnect, we spent almost nothing on marketing. Nothing. And we had amazing marketing. Guess where it came from? Kids like you guys, and even younger. Frankly, Alta High School students have done a lot for my companies. My kids went to Alta. I bring them in, and I'm like, free pizza? I need a marketing campaign. What do you guys got for me? Because who's smarter at knowing how to market than you guys at your age? And young people. Frankly, I'm not going to offend you here, but high school, they might be a little bit smarter on the whole social media thing. Not a bad thing. It's going to be junior high before you know it. So tap into young people. First of all, they're free and cheap. Pizza, they'll do anything for a pizza, right? I'm going to show you some of the cool things we did at MediConnect that helped us. We needed to recruit, and we needed to recruit people that had talent. We didn't want to recruit for positions. We didn't believe in that. We wanted to recruit talent, because you can teach someone with talent a skill. You can't teach someone with a skill the talent or the values you need. So I went to my employees and I said, here's the deal, guys. We need to put a campaign out that kind of throws everybody off and makes them go, oh. We were afraid people were self-selecting out. We were a medical technology company. We were doing big healthcare information exchange with medical data. And when we would advertise for jobs in the past, we would get people that thought they fit that profile, but they weren't necessarily the people we wanted. So I needed a way to expand our horizons and say, give me people that just have a skill, right? So what happened is, I said to the employees, I want you to go home and make your dumbest talent video you've got. And do this little 3-minute video, 3-second video. I want it to be your dumbest talent, okay? And we're going to put it up at the movie theaters at Jordan Commons and whatever all the theaters out there are. And this is what I'm just going to show you a couple of these that those employees came up with. I'll have you know that didn't cost me hardly anything. I know you're shocked to hear that. Okay, here's the next one. The whole goal of these was to have people go on, what is MediConnect? I should apply there. Hugely successful hiring campaign, hugely successful. We had people coming in from all walks of life, people that would never have applied before. We had a guy that was a welder that had never held a business job in his life who came in, thoroughly impressed us in the interview, and he was hired, ended up being a high-level manager in the company. Because he had integrity, he had work ethic, and he had an ability to learn a skill. It didn't matter that he had been a welder, right? So I'm just saying, like, it really opened the doors up, and that was free. Billboard, high school kids came up with this one too. They decided we should take one of our employees who worked on a mink farm and had fantastic arms, people, look at that. So my daughter and her friends came up with, this is what awesome looks like. And we had these billboards up along I-15 and people went crazy over them. Tons of referrals came in, okay? Doesn't have to be expensive what you do. You can find cheap ways, especially in today's world, to market yourself. You know the shame on you signs you saw all over the place, shame on Walgreens, shame on Rite Aid, all that stuff that we saw? We decided, let's do a shame on you for not applying at MediConnect. So we just had people stand out front and hold a sign that cost us $40. Every person in the business complex we were in was coming in from other companies to apply. And that was our target. Okay? Doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Get creative. Go to younger people. Go to the people around you. You guys are in college. There's so much creativity around here. It's awesome. Okay? We wanted to go hire people that already had good jobs, right? That already were like employed somewhere. So we would target a company. We've got a super cheap RV that we bought with an acquisition that just came with the company, and we thought, let's wrap that thing, and we'll go park it out in front of their building during lunch, because that's not illegal, and then we'll hand out hiring cards when they come to go to lunch. So it was a great way to target companies we wanted to poach their people from, right? Didn't cost us a ton of money. Got to get creative, guys. You guys know how to do this. This is what college kids do, okay? Communication. This is the most surprising lesson I learned along the way. I think this is the one that the results shocked me the most, and it was probably one of the more humbling things, because I had tried everything. As the company gets bigger, you know, and you start to grow, you can really easily communicate when it's you and 5 of your buddies in a room. But when I remember walking down the hall, and it went from like 70 to 100 to 200, and all of a sudden people are like, hi, Amy, and I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right? But you're like, hi, because you're growing. Now it's 1,000 people. Now it's more than 1,000 people, and you're in different countries, and you're trying to know, and you can't. And what I learned was, if you as a leader are not communicating, someone else will communicate for you. And it may not be your voice or your message that you want out there. Okay? And that is so detrimental as you start to grow. Because one bad apple can ruin a bunch fast. And the problem you have is that employees will look at that knowledge is power, right? So if they can say, oh, I know the boss really thinks this, or the owner really thinks that, and they have nothing else to go on, they're going to believe them. And all of a sudden, you'll have people messing up your company. And this is the most damaging thing to any company, is that kind of behavior, and it happens all the time, okay? So I decided I needed a way to communicate so they could know my voice, my values, what I cared about. So I decided every night to write a blog. I was going to write a blog. My daughter labeled it the CEO tweet to her peeps. It's a little longer than a tweet. But every day they'd log into the internet and they'd have this little blog that they'd go into and read every day. And in that blog, I would tell them, here's what's going on today. Here's what I'm working on. I would even say, and I know this will surprise you guys, but I would say, here's the mistakes I made today, and here's what I learned from them, and here's what I'm going to do to fix them. And at first that was scary because I'm like, oh, I can't be like imperfect, right? I'm the boss. You got to like be perfect and know everything. That's just bull. That is such bull. You do not have to know everything, and you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be someone who is trying their best and trying to do it for the right reasons, and people will get behind you. Okay, we even decided to take it a step further and open up a discussion board where they could go in and comment on my blog openly to each other. You imagine about scary, that's a little scary, right? You got all these people, they could say anything they wanted about you. But it was amazing to watch what would happen. You'd get a couple negative people here and there, and then all of a sudden all the other employees would jump on them and be like, what's your problem? This is awesome, da-da-da-da-da. And it began to self-police itself, and it was amazing to watch the results. And as they started to know the problems, I wanted a way for them to share their ideas. So we created an idea board where they could say, okay, Amy, I'd say, here's my problem, what do I do? They would go in and post ideas, and they'd all vote on it. And the ones that voted to the top, I was like, that must be the best idea, right? It was a really smart way to communicate and to get feedback. And you need that because you can get so wrapped up in what you're doing and so excited about your plan that you're not thinking about all the other things. And these other people in every walk of life will be. I had some of the best ideas in the company. Someone in accounting solved a huge operations problem. Someone at a front desk solved a huge mailroom problem. Like people that didn't have anything to do with the position because they can think more creatively and out of the box than you can when you're stuck in it. It's really important to communicate and to get that feedback and to implement their ideas and then give them credit for their ideas. Be proud of that. People don't quit jobs over money. They quit jobs over lack of recognition or lack of feeling like they're a part of it. And that's an important lesson to learn. It's so important to get them to feel like they're a part of this whole solution and what you're trying to provide. And it was awesome. And if you looked at the financial numbers of our company, I started writing that blog years ago, and I have done it every day without missing a day. Why do you think I haven't missed a day? Who knows? Anyone? Why would I not miss a day? Trust. If I stopped writing it even for a day, I would lose their trust that I was going to keep it going. And I knew that. You have to be a little bit faultless in the commitments you make to your employees or they will not trust you. And once you lose that, you lose it. So it's critical, and I still haven't missed a day. If you looked at the financial numbers of the company when I started writing the blog, and we have the tracking of all this, our revenue started to skyrocket, but our expenses stayed flat. Because people were working harder, they were putting in more hours, they were more motivated, they felt more part of the team. The results were like crazy when you see the numbers. And when I said it was humbling, it's because it didn't cost me money to blog to them. It took being vulnerable and a little bit real and authentic with them and a little scary. And it took my time every night, which sometimes was hard, but it really didn't cost me anything. And as a leader, it was the #1 most financially effective thing I ever did, ever. Huge lesson in that, you guys. What it also did is I gave all the employees these. We had a spy theme in the office because, you know, it was sexy and cool. Again, kids helped us come up with all that stuff. So we came up with the spy theme because who doesn't want to be like James Bond, right? Bought them all a T-shirt for Christmas one year with MCG on the back. And all of a sudden on the discussion board, they're like, hey, can we have towels? Can we have beach umbrellas? And I'm like, you guys want to pay for those? Because I'd given them the shirt. They're like, yeah, we'll pay for it if you'll just get them for us. I'm like, my employees were offering to pay to wear stuff that said MCG on it? Like they wanted to pay out of their pocket. Dude, I would never have bought a shirt somewhere I worked and paid for it and wore it, right? You barely want to wear it when they give it to you free. They wanted to wear it. Not only that, they wanted everything. They wanted gym bags, and they wanted baby onesies. And in Ephraim, they wanted big old belt buckles because it was Ephraim, you know? And the employees were buying. There was like $50,000 of stuff sold to employees at cost only. We didn't make any money on it. It was just at cost within a short period of time, and I was blown away. That's what communication does, is it will build a culture that people want to be a part of. When a leader is authentic and available and open, it will build a culture. So put yourself out there. When challenges come, because they're going to come, just keep in mind there's always someone that has it worse than you do. So you can't get into the whole, oh, why me, poor me, all that kind of stuff. There's other people that have been through it before, and it's always a good opportunity when something bad happens to step back and rebuild better. Okay, so don't ever fall into the, oh, poor me, because you're going to have 50 reasons to say poor me every day. I still have 50 reasons a day to say poor me, right? Just don't do it. Just be grateful. And that's the biggest way to keep your attitude and spirits up, is just to be grateful. The key is just to keep moving forward and going towards your goals. You have to be a little bit patient because perfection does take time. People, none of us are going to get quite there in this life, right? This is a long quote, but I'm going to read it because it's one of the best quotes ever. You won't have time to write it all down, but just in your notes you can write C.S. Lewis building a castle. Let me read this to you. It says, imagine yourself as a living house. God comes in to rebuild that house. At first, perhaps you can understand what he's doing. He's getting the drains right, stopping the leaks in the roof, and so on. You knew those jobs needed doing, and so you're not surprised. But presently, he starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts abdominally and doesn't seem to make any sense. What on earth is he up to? The explanation is that he's building quite a different house from the one that you thought of. Throwing out a new wing here, putting on an extra floor there, running up towers, making courtyards. You thought you were going to be made into a decent little cottage, but he is building a palace. I love that quote. Love that quote. That helped me so much. This is the other quote that helped me a lot. You might want to write this one down because this one's so good. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Dude, that would have helped me in college tremendously. When you had a bad date, you know, and you're like, at the end, no, it's not. There'll be another one. Trust me, there always is. It'll all be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's just not the end. Okay, and that'll help you get through those really hard times. And never, ever underestimate the power of the goal poster. Okay, remember that poster I showed you that I made? I was 23 when I made that first poster, you guys. Didn't look at it again until I was in my later 20s, like 28, 29 or something. And when I looked at it again, there was the original poster, and there was what had happened within about 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, whatever. I was on the cover of Inc. magazine. I won Entrepreneur of the Year. You know, I met Steve Ballmer because Gates had retired by then, but that counts. You know what I mean? I had all those things. I had my 2 wonderful children. He, by the way, just got off a mission, or getting off a mission in 6 months, and he makes me promise to always tell the ladies he'll be available in 6 months. So all those things had happened. And then my dad and mom got called to leave and go to Ghana, Africa. And I was sad because I was a single, you know, mom and running a big company, and I needed their support. But my dad came over and he gave me a picture of the Ghana temple they were going to be serving in. And he said, Amy, I'm going to be a sealer in this temple. And I want you to come and get sealed here before my mission's over. And I was like, dude, that's going to be a feat because I ain't even dating anybody, right? I don't have time to date. I'm busy. He's like, just put it on the poster. So I did. I threw it up on the poster. 6 months later, in Ghana, Africa, getting sealed by my dad in the temple there to a really cool guy, okay, from Idaho, Boise State. Pretty happy we beat him, though. But no, so when that happened, now that was just weird. I mean, the other stuff was weird, that all come true, but this was like really weird, right? Because I wasn't even dating anybody, and I'm like, dude, the poster totally works. So what do you think I did? I went home, I made a bigger freaking poster because we make our own magic, people. So this is the poster I made him next. And I was like, I'm not holding back this time. Woo, it's all going on the poster, right? You're going to love this because this is totally true. I wanted to be able to start a charity that would empower people, right? I wanted to empower people because I felt like as a single mom, I had been empowered by starting a business and supporting my family. And I was lucky and blessed, for sure. Okay? I wanted to go see the 7 wonders of the world with my family. And I wanted to be able to sell my company and make a bunch of money. And I wanted that plane because I hate flying commercial. So I made the poster, and guess what happened? This was when I was about, I don't remember how old I was, early 30s, right? Made this poster. Ended up going to see, what's that? 3 of the 7 wonders by chance, not by plan. Again, I put it on the poster, I just leave it there. My brother moved to Italy, I went to Italy. My brother moved to Amman, Jordan, went to Amman, Jordan, right? Went to India because one of our offices was there. Suddenly, I'm scheduled to go to Brazil with the BYU Founders Board this coming year to go see another one of these, okay? All on the poster. Sold the company for $377 million. What? That happened too. And as soon as that sold, guess what I did? I started my charity, the IPOP Foundation. It stands for In Pursuit of Perfection, because I think that's what it's all about, okay? Started that. Guess who came up with the marketing of the hands? Oh, that would be my daughter. You can't see her, but she's super cute. We started the foundation to help entrepreneurs, to inspire high school and university students and then adults as well. And we ran a huge competition at Alta for the charity last year, a mobile app competition. Best mobile app ideas I have seen yet came from those high school kids. So it's so fun to be able to go and inspire people now to do what we did and to mentor them along the way. And then I started Rees Capital to be able to angel invest into companies, which was a dream of mine. Okay, so if you aren't learning anything, is he covered up? Good. It's BYU, people. We're trying to keep it clean. So if I learned anything from that, first of all, the poster, rockin', right? And by the way, the plane. My husband has to let me have the plane now because it'll ruin the mojo of the talk if I don't get the plane. So, and I'm making another poster because I'm almost done with that one. Like literally, the plane and a few more wonders of the world, and I need my next poster. So don't limit the picture you have in your head because what God might intend could be a masterpiece. And seriously, my life has totally proven that to be true. Totally proven that to be true. Okay? I'll leave you with this quote: the passionate pursuit of potential. Everyone's born into the world with tremendous potential. Success doesn't require achieving your full potential. It simply requires that you live in the passionate pursuit of it. And that's totally true. I continue to write my blog to this day. The one thing when I transitioned out of the company after I sold it, I promised the employees that they asked me, they said, well, you still keep writing every day. So every day I write a blog at amyreesanderson.com, and you guys are welcome to read. I now write for Forbes and the Huffington Post as well, and they're all posted there so you can get to them. But I try to just share the lessons I'm learning now as an angel investor for the first time, right? Or I share the dumb things my husband did, because every man deserves to have his dumb things published on a public blog that thousands of people read around the world. Keeps them in line, ladies. Good plan. But if I can ever help any of you guys, that's my contact information. Just notice that the Rees doesn't have an E at the end of it. It's just Amy Rees Anderson. And I'm happy to do whatever I can to help any of you guys, because you guys are amazing, and you're going to do amazing things. And I'm so excited to see what you accomplish. When you make a goal poster, and I expect you to, please, if you're willing, take a digital picture and email it to me, because I am saving them with your contact info. And in 10 years from now, we're going to be coming back to you. I'm going to reach out and publishing a book about the people that did the poster and what it did for their life. So do the poster, okay? Thanks, you guys.